103.1 Unilag FM. It's Girlfriends on Radio. Okay, where are the other voices?
Well, they are missing in action, MIA. But I'm here, Shay is here, so never fear. Taiwo's on the other side, so we're good today.
We are more than capable.
Yes, we are.
Alright guys, this is Girlfriends, and last week we started a very interesting topic and we're going to continue it today.
Girl power!
Girl power. So last week we were talking about girl power, what it means when you use that phrase girl power. It doesn't mean the same thing as feminism, and we spoke about it at length, but we haven't even finished. And today we decided we're going to talk about girl power in the areas of relationships. Okay, so Shay, do you want to give out a number if they want to be part of the show?
To be part of the show, send a text message only please to 070-167-236-56. I'll take it again. 070-167-236-56.
Alright, we'll take a musical break, and when we come back we'll start talking about what it means to have girl power in a relationship. We'll be right back. So, Girlfriends on Radio. We are talking about girl power, and I'm thinking to myself, I really like the idea, of we women believing that, in relationships, right, we have a say. But I was reading something this week, and they said that every couple behind their minds or subconsciously have a power struggle. And they're all like, the man feels like he's the head of the relationship, and the woman feels she's the neck, so she can turn the head wherever she wants to, And also in that article, they were talking about how, when you're in a relationship, you might not act, or you might not rub the fact that you have a higher authority in this relationship to the other person's face, but someone holds a higher power. Like, somebody would always give in to another person in a relationship, and they say like it all starts with who loves who best.
That's the power thing in male-female relationships, or maybe other gender, whatever relationships too. It's a power thing, because they say the person that is less emotionally involved has the power, because they can opt out at any time, and so the other person is trying to please and to hold on to the person and make sure that the person stays with them and all that. So yes, there's a power thing in relationships. And I also read about a lady. She was talking about, yes, that all that is there, but the basic thing is that she believes that when you are vulnerable, when you decide to be vulnerable and you choose to love and to give, that is another power. And it's left to you to decide whether you want that kind of power. That after a while, that power thing, it doesn't work, because
it's a fulfillment anyway. Because when both of you, like I said, it might be healthy in a way that you guys are not flaunting who is more powerful in the relationship, but behind, like, let's take for example new relationships, right? The woman obviously has the power, because if the guy is the one chasing her, so he has to bring her flowers, he has to go pick her up, he has to do this, and she knows at that moment, she knows she has the power, because this guy is in love with her, so he would do anything and even act stupidly just to please her. But the moment they settle into that relationship, he takes his power back, and he makes sure that she knows that he's now the man that he is, and all that lovey-dovey is over, and so there's a swap, so she doesn't have as much power, and then she's now very submissive and trying to please him 24/7.
Well, the lady had a couple of solutions. She said that you should be independent, that you shouldn't really needy. Nobody wants someone that is needy in a relationship, and then you should go out and that you should have it in your mind that you're actually single, because maybe the guy hasn't committed or anything. So you should go out and make friends, have other guy friends, and go out with them and play with them and all that. And then she also said that you should make sure that you're not so committed, really.
But you know what? It's funny, because I also read, right, that when a woman in a relationship decides not to be too needy and becomes very independent and says, you know what, I love you, but I have my life to live, I'm going to pursue my career, I'm going to make my own money, we're going to be in love, but on my own terms, I'm not going to circumvent everything that I live for just to please you,
Yeah.
right? And then they say that in itself is girl power, and some guys
Yeah.
get so threatened by it, and so it's like you're rubbing it in the man's face that I don't need you, and if you opt out of my life right now, I'll be okay. And that in itself is a power struggle, and guys don't like it.
Well, there should be a balance, because me, I don't believe that because you're in a relationship, whether committed or uncommitted, that you should be all dependent on the guy. You should be all over him. You should be saying you want to be in his presence 24/7, or you want him to be in your presence 24/7, or you want to be on the phone and know when he goes to the loo, when he sneezes, when he farts. I don't believe, and pardon my French, I don't believe it's all about that. I believe you need your own space, and that there's a certain amount of self-respect and dignity that both parties should have, and you should also be assertive enough to know that, hey, I love you, we're in a relationship, we understand each other, but there are certain things that we should actually have an understanding before the whole relationship thing starts. So you know that, okay, that this is a deal breaker, and if the guy breaks, if he corrupts the deal, then you know that you can walk at any point in time. So basically, I believe that you should actually have a certain amount of dignity, you should have self-respect, you should be independent up to a certain extent, and you should be able to assert yourself, not the one that you're throwing in the guy's face or the guy throwing in your face, but that these are my needs for this relationship, this is what I'd like to have, this is what I'd like to do, this is how I'd like to do it, and then you put that on the table and see what the guy or what the girl goes with and all that. But basically, I believe that as a human being, you should, as two independent human beings, you should be able to come to an understanding and have a healthy relationship, because when someone is too dependent on the other person, it's definitely not healthy. And when one person has the ultimate power in a relationship, that is not healthy as well.
Let's take a musical break, and when we come back, I want us to talk about, how, especially in this part of the world, well, I know it's not the truth for 100%, for a lot of people, 100%, but let me go out and limp and say that about 70% of the time, women in this part of the world allow relationships to define them, and they get into this point where they are so needy and their world revolves around a guy. So we'll take a musical break, but before we do, we'll give out the numbers once again, and when we come back, let's talk about scenarios and break it down. Like we've spoken about balance now, but let's talk about it in actual terms, and let's bring up scenarios and talk about these things. Okay.
The number to send a text message to is 070-167-23656. 070-167-23656. Thank you.
.1 Unilag FM. We are still on to Girlfriends on Radio. Okay, so before we went on musical break, we're talking about we were going to bring up scenarios on relationships where a woman feels like our world revolves around a guy.
Well, society lets you believe that if you're alone, you don't have a man, you're not worth your salt. So basically, some women that are past the age that society believes is the certain age for you to be married and have kids and all that.
Yeah.
They believe that that the woman should do something. She should get a man, and that she should do, at that point in time, she shouldn't be too picky. Anything in trousers.
I just hate hearing that.
That's what they believe, and that's what they actually go in so many ways to tell her. They let her know that. What's the problem?
As long as he has something between his legs, and marry him.
Yes, they say, what's the problem? And they keep on telling the girl, you're not getting any younger. You're not getting any younger. So some of them, unfortunately, they end up in relationships that they would have been best avoided, and not for a human being. So that's what society dictates, that a woman is best she's with a man. And unfortunately, a lot of women have bought that, and they go for the anything in trousers scenario and all that. So when it comes to their self-esteem, to being abused, to being victimized, they just follow everything.
At least I'm in a man's house.
At least I'm married, at least, and all that. So unfortunately, and a lot of people don't let you know what's going on, because everything is supposed to be private, and even when it's let on that this is happening, they're like, it happens to everybody, this is just slap, don't worry, it happens to everybody, because everybody doesn't say it and all that. So unfortunately, that's one of the scenarios that is available.
Yeah. Last week, Anu mentioned, that in this part of the world, sometimes too, it can be very, very difficult, or challenging being raised up as a woman, because society believes that you should spend it's changing, it's changed pretty much, but still you still have that mentality subtly in people's minds, that spend more money on the men, and then the women would get married anyway. So since they are getting married anyway, why don't you focus on the guys? And I think that some youngsters have begun to believe that, as long as I have a man in my life, it doesn't matter what I study in the university. Once I'm still going to get married, so my husband is going to be the provider. And you hardly find women who are fighting. Well, you have them. It's not like you don't have them. You have them, but you hardly find women who are all about their passions, who are all about their careers. It's all about, I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have a boyfriend. My life sucks because I don't have a boyfriend. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, we need men in our lives, and men need women too, but that's not the end of the world. You hear babes, who are very young, and they just feel like, and they can be very, I remember when I was in the university, so many women who didn't have relationships used to feel so depressed on Valentine's Day, or feel depressed when they see two people walking hand in hand. And I'm thinking, a man doesn't define you, for God's sakes. When they get into that relationship, right, it's all about how much the guy can give them. And so if I want to please my man and I want him to spend so much money on me, what I am going to do is I'm gonna have sex with him to please him, to get identity. So the way to keep a man coming more and more is to go and find out about all the sex positions in the world that is pleasurable. Go and wash your vagina with alum to make it tighter. Anything disrespecting and degrading just to make a man stay with you. And I'm like, where did girl power go to in all of that? Because it's so ridiculous when we as ladies cheapen ourselves to become just sleeping materials to hold a man and to have identity.
They finally got the guy, so they are making sure that they do everything possible to make him stay. Parents have invested in you. You have gone to school. You have a brain. A lot of parents have actually now invest more in their women, in their girl child and all that. So,
but it's also very sad, because it's true the scenario you've just painted, that more women are taking charge and doing their own thing. But it's so betraying as well when you get into a certain period in your life. For a guy, nobody's gonna be on this case. You need to get married. But as soon as the woman starts reaching a particular age and she's all about making money and being, everybody's on her case. Her family members, people who don't even know her, they're always like, you know what? Stop with this chasing money around. Start focusing on your family. It's not good for a woman to be too independent at a certain age, and then it just goes on and on. But you don't hear them saying the same thing for guys, and they'll tell you your biological clock, blah blah blah, which is okay.
Unfortunately, the guys don't have that biological thing really. So for people that tell you that you should just relax and backpedal on the career and all that when it's a certain age, because there's a certain age where it's actually better for you to have your kids and all that, and after a certain age it's more dangerous for you and the baby, because you might have a child with Down syndrome, etc. So for some of them that care about you, yes, that's what they mean. But for some of them that they just want to harass you, they're just saying that, hey girl, wake up, it's not all sunshine and roses, and your body won't be like this and your face won't be like this forever. So get with the program, and if you're really interested in getting a man or getting married and having kids, this is the time for you to do it and all that. So you have to balance those two things and know that, okay, this is what I want and all that. And a lot of women, they actually do that by when they get married and all that, they actually just change careers. They look for careers that are less demanding, that will give them time for their children, and some of them even opt out that during the time I'm going to have my kids and raise them, I'm not going to work, because it's possible to do that with the income she and her husband are earning. So they face the children, and after a certain time they go back.
Okay, well, we have to go now, but before we do, I just want to say that yes, we know that we need men in our lives. Yes, we know that men need women, but at the same time, I've always just been that kind of person that I believe that in as much as the opposite sex needs one another, we shouldn't compromise who we are you know, we shouldn't make somebody else define who we are or spell out who we are because we just want to belong or to be accepted, you know. When we come back next week, we'll talk about girl power in the office environment, in the office space. That'll be so interesting. That'll be so interesting to talk about, you know. But thank you very much for listening to us once again today, and well, have yourself a lovely weekend. Bye.